Hello everyone. So far we have covered relaxation and meditation. Today I would like to introduce what I think is one of the most vital components of heartfulness practice called cleaning. What are we cleaning? We are cleaning the impressions that we gather during daytime, during our daily activities. So what are these impressions? How do we anyway gather them? Let us say you see something. You saw a rose flower while walking in a garden. You admire the beauty of this rose flower. What next? Later on, you might feel, oh, it's so lovely. Let me go nearby. Hold it in your hands, and you might say, okay, oh, lovely fragrance. Second day, you happen to pass by the same area, look at the flower bloom to its fullest, and say, oh my God, such a beautiful flower. You might feel like plucking it. A time may come, oh, I must have such a rose flower. Maybe in my backyard, or maybe in the front of my house, or maybe it should be in my solar window. So this is how we get attracted towards something, and the very effort of avoiding or indulging with that creates an impression in our mind. Another example I would like to share with you. We have seen in circus how powerful these elephants are. If elephant goes mad and decides to disrupt the entire circus tent, it can bring it down to floor in no time. But when its leg is tied up with a chain merely to a chair, it thinks that it's been tied with a big column which is unmovable. But if it had intelligence or the understanding or the wisdom to see that this chain is not connected to the column, concrete column, but it is only connected with a chair, imagine what it can do. Where it is tied down by its own impression that this chain is binding him. There is another beautiful story I like to share with you. A lover was trying to meet his beloved across the river, but unfortunately, there was a flood. Couldn't make it, or can't make it. Middle of the night, there was no boatman either. He was frustrated. Somehow, he saw something on the bankside, grabbed it, sat over it, swam across the river, left it on the bankside, reached the beloved's place. He couldn't dare to enter from the front door because of parents, perhaps. So he decided to go from the back window. He saw the back window was open and also saw that there is a rope left by his beloved. So he grabbed the rope and pulled himself up to the first floor. Spent his time with his beloved. Beloved asked, in such a rainy, torrential night, how is it? How did you make it here? He said, oh, you left a rope behind this window. She said, no, I didn't leave any rope. And when they turned on the light and see, it wasn't a rope, it was a big snake. He thought it was a rope. And as he reaches to the bank and tries to seize the log of wood that he thought it was wood, but it was a corpse, dead body, on which he sat and swam across the river. So when he sees the corpse, he gets, oh my God, that wasn't a wooden log. But anyway, some shape, some form gave him the impression it was a log. So such impressions, which are based on inner biases rather than to the reality of a particular circumstance we succumb to. And to a fixed pattern, this goes on happening in life. Suppose if you were once bitten by a dog, for the rest of your life you'll be afraid of that four-legged animal and say, my God, I don't like this. So thus we kind of establish chain of likes and dislikes, a spectrum of likes and dislikes. If our reactions are stronger, we react according to our liking or attraction or aversion. And based on that, we either desire for it or we remain kind of in a state of fear perhaps. When you must have observed when we travel in a flight and you keep watching passengers attend, coming one by one. You look at faces, one by one and see, oh, he's okay. She's carrying too much luggage. Or he seems to be a good person. This guy who was just entered, oh, not so good. So our mind goes on, with this phase, with this state which constantly calls on in analyzing individuals' faces, what they carry, what they wear, what sort of perfume they wear. And based on that, we start associating that person, either say, oh, it's all right, he's not all right, she's all right, she may not be all right. And such impressions we gather even though we may not be directly involved in anything at all. These are all what we call useless impressions that we go on gathering. According to Newton, every action, in this case, psychologically, every thought or action has equal and opposite reaction. It may be true in the physical world, but when it comes to inner realms, the action that we perform need not have equal reaction to it. Either it may have zero reaction or it can respond with infinite potential, infinite amount of reaction to it. How? Suppose someone is passing towards whom you are attracted. It's a simple phenomena. So a person is passing, but you are so attracted, you remain bewildered by that person's personality, and you keep thinking about that person. This is impression. This is how we gather this impression, and this is how we form our destiny as well. So thus we see that sometimes we look at a person and fall in love instantly, or a lover once gives you such a look and then you say, oh, why is he looking at me like that? And you might say, oh, I don't like this. What is this all based upon? Subliminal influences that we carry in our consciousness. We call these influences impressions or samskaras. So here, where the cleaning process comes into picture, we like to perceive things as it is, as real as it could be. With the help of cleaning process, we are able to come to an inner state which will remain non-judgmental, which will somehow efface the influence of certain impressions. When we remove such an impact of memories, when we unload ourselves from such emotional burden, which is what keeps us bound to a certain patterns of thoughts, perception, emotions, and behavior. This brings objectivity and clarity to our perceptions, cleaning. We need to remove these filters of impressions. This is not just a psychological phenomenon. It also prevents our spiritual expansion because impressions represent vibrational pattern in consciousness which have become fixated. These impressions or samskaras settle down in the deepest layers of our subconscious, where they eventually cover the soul. They separate us from the most essential element of our being. As we accumulate more and more of these impressions, this network becomes denser and it starts to resemble the layers of that what we find in geological sedimentations. Like geology, it becomes a record of our past. The cleaning process frees us from both past and future, so we can design our own destiny. We react to certain things as it should be. Like to share with you an example of a master gardener. This I know when I read a book, As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. He gives an example of a master gardener who sows the seeds well planned. He executes his plan of proper gardening as per his wish. He knows what to plant where, which shrub, which vine, which tree will go where. But if you don't care about proper planning and if you let it happen, the weeds will go everywhere. In no time, you'll have a jungle, a big forest. Thoughts are all like that. Thoughts are like seeds. If we don't regulate our thoughts, they one day can turn into our chaotic life. The result would be a chaotic life which is beyond our control. Jungle is our consciousness then. There are conflicting ideas and conflicting emotions, desires, dislikes. Our inner environment becomes so complex. So, cleaning helps us here to get rid of these scattered ideas based on our reactions and emotion outbursts. How to do this cleaning and when to do this cleaning? Once we go through the 3 sessions of this program, one will be able to exercise one's own will and say, yes, now I'll be able to do this cleaning. Enough capacity is given, bestowed through this process of meditation. Along with this transmission, one develops a certain capability of using one's own will to get rid of these impressions. How to do it? I'll walk you through the process. But few formalities. One is when to do cleaning. Best time to do is when we come back home from day's main work. I practice as a pharmacist in New York City. Usually, I would return home by 8 p.m. So that's when I go to my basement where I would meditate usually and sit there comfortably and close my eyes and do the cleaning.